All right. Home Squad Hoops, episode two. Very excited to go ahead and get into it. Still got one game going on. You can see we got an overtime matchup between the Suns and the Clippers. We'll keep you posted. Should be finishing up right about now if they don't force a second overtime, but it's 114 to 112. The Suns right now with a few seconds left. But I got a full slate ahead here of all the games we got of our second night, really our first night of a full slate. So very excited, action packed, and a lot of good hoops already, man. It's going to be looking like a great season, and we'll go ahead and get into it. Plus, we will go over every single team in the West and just kind of an outlook on them, and just what we think, and just a kind of predictions. We'll go ahead and get some award predictions as well later in the week, but we'll get to that later. But I do want to go ahead and preview here. We got Pacers 115 109 Pistons. They was able to get the dub, go 1-0. Magic 116 over the Heat 97. Cavaliers 136 over the Raptors with 106. I mean, a lot of injuries that you'll get into in just a second, but the Hawks able to get the dub 120 to 116 over the Nets. Able to get the dub there. So good win. Obviously a great showing by a few players here. We got the Bucks at 124 over 109 win against the 76ers. The Hornets 110 to 105 over the Rockets. That was a really good game. We'll have some highlights from that game as well. If you caught on Twitter, LaMelo Ball had a hell of a game. Shout out to him. Hopefully, he's able to stay healthy and have the season and progress into the star he's always looked like he's going to be. So Zion Williamson also battling with injuries, but the Pelicans able to get the dub, 123 to 111 over the Bulls, and then the Grizzlies, 126 to 124 over the Jazz. Very great game. Was able to watch that game too. Out of all these, I watched about three of these games. I watched the Pacer game, the Hornets, and the Grizzlies, and then great games all around. Pretty much the Magic I kept in, but they was able to run away with it. Like I said, we do have that game going in overtime. Should be. Looks like they're finishing up right now, 114 to 112 still. The Suns over the Clippers. And then we have the Warriors able to get a big win, 139 to 104 over Portland. Portland's not looking the hottest this year, everyone knows. So, I think they're going to be battling at that bottom spot, one of the bottom teams in the West. But they do have Klingon as their rookie there. I think he's pretty good. We'll get into their roster in just a second. But one thing I wanted to get into, there's some debuts tonight, some coaches, some, different just lineups. But there's also a new arena, the Intuit Dome, the Clippers' new home. Looks amazing. Steve Ballmer, obviously the owner there, Microsoft exec, one of the richest owners in sports, and he's been dumping a lot of money into this team. Man, brand new arena. They don't have to share the Staples Center or whatever they call it now. The crypto center with the Lakers. Their whole story, their whole franchise, they was always sharing with the Lakers. Didn't feel like a home game when they played them, and it just really didn't feel like their arena, as people would say. And yeah, that's pretty much around the league. Everyone kind of knew that. So they got their own stuff going on here, and very costly. I mean, but it doesn't really matter. They have the great owner, and the best thing about this, I would say, is all of these arenas across sports, NFL, and it doesn't matter what league. They always try to, or they get taxpayers to pay for their arena. But Steve Ballmer, with being, how loaded he is, he actually flipped the bill and he paid for it. It was construction cost was $2 billion, 17,700 plus seats, full size courts. There's 5 of them actually in the arena throughout, practice and stuff. So their practice arenas in there too. They broke ground in September of 2021 and they opened August 15th of this year. So they have a 38,375 square foot halo board, which you can kind of see right there, but I have a better view of it right here. So this is their halo board, like their LED. I mean, look at this. This is, inside and out. Doesn't matter where you're sitting, you're going to be able to see, everything that's going on. And this is truly innovative and one of a kind. I mean, if anyone's been keeping up with overseas basketball, Panathinaikos, there in Athens, they are having an LED court this year. Their whole court's going to be LED. So that might make its way to the league. But this right here is still pretty crazy, this Halo Dome. And I expect some big things out of the Clippers. I like their new branding, actually. I like their new logo. I think it's sweet. Their uniforms are pretty nice, too. I think, they have a bright future ahead of them. They have some couple of great names on paper. but they do have to stay healthy. Everyone knows. But this is the Halo board that's in the brand new Intuit Dome, and it looks pretty crazy. So shout out to the Clippers. Shout out to Steve Ballmer to able get that done. So take a second look here at the scores before we get into our preview. Before we touch into a few things as well. But I want to. Shed light on the Grizzlies win, the Pacers win. The Pacers looking really good. The Hawks got a win. I said that last night the Nets aren't going to be that great. They're going to be fighting for the bottom spot, maybe for that Cooper Flag guy or Ace Bailey. So we'll see. They'll be at the bottom, but they still got a good win. And then the Warriors put up 139, so pretty crazy. And then it does look like the Suns are going to win in that overtime game against the Clippers. So it looks like Clippers not able to get it done in overtime in their brand new arena. I expect great things, though, like I said. So let's go ahead and get into it. One thing I wanted to highlight that kind of blew me off guard because, we're in our second night of the season, first full night of full slate. We have a lot of injuries, man. I mean, look at these injuries. We have a ton of injuries across the league. A lot of people are starting shorthanded. So a lot of these G League guys are going to get some reps coming in. So we'll start off. Portland, Robert Williams. He's kind of always been hurt throughout his career, unfortunately. He was a former Celtic, and he's been traded there. He's got DeAndre Ayton there. And then they got that rookie Klingon. I think they're going to maybe have to choose between Robert Williams and Ayton to see who they're going to move on from maybe later in the year. But Shaden Sharp also out, as well as Matisse Thybulle. Some key guys for them. I mean, they maybe wouldn't be key guys on a lot of other teams, but Portland's not that deep, so they need these guys, and they are without them. So to start the season, Raptors very shorthanded. Emmanuel Quickly, R.J. Barrett, Bruce Brown, and Kelly Olynyk. I mean, those are some core guys as well. They're missing Emmanuel Quickly. I think he's going to have a big year. I didn't really shed too much light on him last night, and the reason why is because I think Emmanuel Quickly is really good, but he kind of has to choose. Does he want to be a 2 or on a bad team, or does he kind of want to be a 3 or 4 on a contender or just a solid team? I think if he's their 3 or like 4 leading scorer, then the Raptors actually be really good, and that's a good thing. I think Emmanuel Quickly's got a lot of upside, so just wanted to shout out there. But Sadiq Bey also out for the Wizards, and Malcolm Brogdon out, but it doesn't end there. There's a lot of other teams out with players. The Grizzlies got the dub without all of these guys. Jaren Jackson Jr., former Defensive Player of the Year. G.G. Jackson, a great prospect. Luke Kennard, knockdown shooter, and Vince Williams, just a power 4. Very key guys for Memphis, but they were able to still get the win, and we're going to talk about that in just a second of how great of a win that was. So they're without these guys. Jaren Jackson's kind of hurt up and down as well throughout these past few years, but when he is on the floor, he's one of my favorite players in the league. He can do it all. He's very versatile, and he's you think Miles Turner is good, but Jaren Jackson think kind of that next step up. Jaren Jackson's pretty tough. So some more teams out here with players start the season. Kevin Love, Josh Richardson for the Heat, Chris Middleton still out there for the Bucks, and then Zion Williamson, man. Out for the Pelicans, and Trey Murphy, a good guy for them as well. So a lot of these teams missing so much of their production on the offensive side. These young guys are going to get some reps, but you need these guys on the floor. Not seeing them start out the season is, it kind of sucks because we really want to see everybody at full force, but hopefully these guys can get healthy, and, this it doesn't end there, unfortunately. I mean, we got more injuries. What's another season without, Kawhi hurt or a Kristaps Porzingis hurt? I mean, pretty much the guys have always been hurt. They're still kind of hurt, unfortunately. But Mitchell Robinson's battling that foot. Talked about that last night. I think he's pretty solid. They played last night. Precious Achua, big guy there. They kind of need him. As for the Thunder, Nikola Topic, their draft pick for Serbia, he's been out. He was out last season, hurt his knee. He's a very good prospect. He actually came from the Mega Basket program in Serbia. A lot of people don't know about them, but they produced Nikola Jovic, and now him. And they've also they've got a few other guys too in EuroLeague, but very good EuroLeague team, and like a under 18 team that's produced a lot of guys, including Jokic, the Joker. So we'll look out for Topic to see if he's able to get on the court this year. I don't know, but Jalen Williams, another guy that they need on the court, and their big acquisition, one of their big acquisitions, Isaiah Hartenstein, that came over from the Knicks, and he is hurt. So I don't know what they're going to do there. Maybe they add a guy at 4 or 5, but we'll see down the line. They're pretty deep, so I still have some faith in the Thunder. But 76ers, man, Joel Embiid and Paul George. God, like, what are you going to do? I think they need to blow it up, honestly. I think they need to save Tyrese Maxey. I like Tyrese Maxey a whole lot. I think he needs to get out of there and just go to a contender that he can kind of have some more reigns over. And when your best guy's a big, that's great. But if your best guy's a big and he takes up all the cap and he's on and off the court, it's just not good formula, man. It's not good for success. So we're not stopping the injury train there. We got Steven Adams for the Rockets, James Wiseman and Isaiah Jackson for the Pacers. Some guys that I think are going to have some big years for the Pacers. Isaiah Jackson from Kentucky, good alley oop guy, and James Wiseman looking to kind of revive his career coming off from the Golden State. So Kawhi Leonard, like I said, obviously hurt as well. Wouldn't be NBA without Kawhi Leonard being hurt. Mo Bamba also hurt, and PJ Tucker. I think PJ Tucker's they're working on a way to get him traded out of there. I think it's kind of like a mutual thing. He's just probably not going to play until they find him a new home. But this is our last set of injuries, I promise. But so many across the league we have to highlight, and it's going to affect these teams, because they have G League starting up, and G League's not going to start for another about 2 weeks. So they're going to get a lot of G League run, and some of these prospects might get a roster spot because of these guys out. So we got Kristaps Porzingis, like I said, hurt. Sam Hauser hurt. Not of a crazy productive guy, Sam Hauser, but if you're in foul trouble and maybe need some shooting, he can definitely come in handy for you. Max Strus, he got hurt like last week, and then Monty Bates. I was talking about him last night. He's put on a lot of weight. I think he's going to have a really good season, but he's going to have to be on the court to do so. So I think Cavs are going to be without some wing scoring without him. Asar Thompson out as well. Pistons, they need him, I think, just if they're going to do anything too serious or just make that step up. But he's really trying to make that step up in his game. But yeah, man, it's been a lot of injuries to start out. We will go over these scores one more time before we get into a top performer we want to highlight. We really want to look at this Bucks team. I'm really curious to see what the Bucks do this year. I think they are going to have a comeback year, and not the typical comeback year in maybe the way that people think. I don't think Dame's going to be 26 point a night, 25 a night guy. And if he is, they're not going to win. I think a lot of their young guys are going to step up this year. AJ Johnson, Tyler Smith. I think Pat Connaughton's going to have a better year than he had last year. And, they got some other guys too. They have Gary Trent, another guy that's a good shooter for them. So I was curious to see what they were going to do tonight, even with 76ers being shorthanded. But guy we want to highlight here that had a great game tonight that led his team to victory was LaMelo Ball. He was hurt all last season up and down, didn't play a lot of games. He got 34, 11, and 7 tonight, and also went 11-11 from the free throw line. So shout out to him. He had a fantastic game. I hope he has a great season. Brandon Miller, number 2 pick from last year's draft, he got hurt during the game, had to leave. Maybe it wasn't looking good. They were down by 18. They came back and they got the dub. So we'll go ahead and got some highlights from that game. LaMelo Ball out there doing his thing. I think he's going to have a really good season. I'm very excited to see what he's going to do and maybe take that next step. I've been rooting for him since Chino Hills. We've all seen him since so young, and I said last night, I'll say it again. I hope Lonzo Ball can maybe join him. See that Brandon Miller dunk right there. He left the game though, but I hope Lonzo Ball joins the Hornets maybe down the line so they can play together. Trey Mann had a good game as well. I mentioned last night Trey Mann going to get some great clock this year, and I think that's going to remain true. I think they are going to use him right, and they need some wing scoring from him and a few other guys. So Trey Mann came over from the Thunder last year, and he came over with Micic as well. So I think they actually have a good shot to maybe make the playoffs this year, especially with the East not looking too crazy. So another couple guys that kind of showed out for them. Brandon Miller obviously hurt, but Trey Mann, like I said, 24 points and 6 rebounds, 24 points in 29 minutes for Trey Mann. So shout out to him. I think it's going to be a different change there for them. I think they actually got a good coach now. He went 1-0 in his career, his start. Shout out to them, and maybe they're able to take that next step. I wish Michael Jordan was still the owner there, and he had such a not the great run, but if anybody's been paying attention, Michael Jordan's actually owns a NASCAR team, and now they're getting dubs. So Hornets, they were able to get the win. I think the Rockets are actually not a bad team as well. I think Reed Shepherd, we're going to get into them a whole on our list of our Western Conference. I think they're going to have a much improved team, and we're going to see really. I think Reed Shepherd's going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year, especially with I think he's actually going to be competing with Rob Dillingham, but Rob Dillingham didn't really play last night. Didn't play last night, so we'll see what happens with them. So yeah, I mean, crazy first couple nights, first full night here. The Grizzlies, like I said, was another great win. The Grizzlies come out with a 126-124 win. Follow us on X for some game updates if you want to catch those. But here's the stat line. Santi Aldama, not familiar with him. He's a stretch four, been a project for them for the past couple years. And, with the injuries to Jaren Jackson, he was able to step up 1 point away from tying his career high. He has a 28-point career high, but he got 27 and 6. Ja Morant, everyone knows he was off the court last year. And, he only played 9 games last year, but he got 22, 10, and 5 tonight. Desmond Bane, 24 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds. Then if you see at the bottom, which is something we've already covered, the Grizzlies being hurt, they're banged up, joining the season. Jaren Jackson, Vince Williams, G.G. Jackson, Luke Kennard out for the game. So, man, they were able to still get the win. Very impressive. The Grizzlies they're always grit and grind. I mean, they created the grit and grind, the slogan, and that's for a reason. So, it doesn't matter who's on their team. They're always going to grit and grind. And Santi Aldama was able to really pull some weight here tonight. And maybe they were able to keep everybody together on the court, no off the court issues, and make that run they were supposed to make last year, this year. So shout out to Brandon Clark back on the court for them as well, getting acclimated after that Achilles tear. So we're going to go ahead and get into the Western Conference after, we got into tonight, our top 2 performance, I would say, would obviously be LaMelo, then Santi Aldama and Ja Morant had some great showing. So we'll have some further predictions as well with MVPs, Rookie of the Year, 6-man stuff like that. But tonight we're just going to finally finish our Western Conference preview as we kicked off the season, and I'm very excited to do so. So let's go ahead and get into it. We got the Lakers that played last night, went over the roster last night, but we'll kind of just skim over it again. I think Bronny James is going to be in the G League mostly. Yeah, everybody's seen him, make history last night with his dad. Very excited to see. I didn't expect him to play the first game, not going to lie, but he did play the first game, and they're going to do that just now because the G League season is going to start back, and he's going to be in the G League. So I will reiterate, if you're a G League player, if you're on a 2A or wherever, you only get 41 days on the real team. And then if you're on your 41st day, then they have to choose to either sign you or put you down in the G League for the rest of the year. So we'll see. If there's injuries with the Lakers, then he'll be up and down, mostly up, just to rebound and pass, honestly. And the Lakers need a rebound and passer. I think that they're going to get some better corner shooting this year, hopefully. But we'll see. I mean, take a look at their roster here. Austin Reeves had a tough night to start the season last night. D'Angelo Russell had his tough night, but I think they're going to be able to bounce back. What I want to highlight here, since we can't go over every single player, we're going to highlight just a guy who's a up-and-comer on each team, and maybe a guy that's kind of like an odd man out, or we might see them switching from. So I'll reiterate here, Dalton Connect is a guy as a rookie. I think he's going to be a pretty good contributor for him. As for an odd man out with a couple of these, I think Jalen Hood-Schifino, we're going to see if he's going to stick for the rest of the year, if he can produce for them. He was a draft pick last year, but didn't really play. Gabe Vincent came over from the Heat. I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know where he really fits with this team. Not saying that he does not going to fit. Just right now, I don't know where he fits. Rui Hachimura's had a good game last night. I think he's going to have a really good year with some mid-range shooting and getting some help, because they relied on Rui Hachimura too much for shooting. He's not a shooter, in these past couple seasons. I think Austin Reeves taking that next step, and then Dalton Connect being a pretty solid shooter, I think will take some weight off of Rui, and whatever he adds will just be extra, right? So we'll go over to the next West team that played last night. Then we'll get into the rest of the conference. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves. They obviously made that big trade that kind of shook the NBA world in the offseason. That last big shakeup before the season was Karl-Anthony Towns leaving. Man, it was pretty crazy. I didn't expect that at all. I thought that they were going to maybe rocket it, maybe wait till the winter, right, or move Gobert or something. But they actually signed Gobert to an extension last night, $110 million, 3 years. So we're going to see what they do. I'm very curious. I think Anthony Edwards is going to be really great. They're confident in Naz Reid taking that next step and kind of taking over what Karl-Anthony Towns did, as well as Julius Randle. And I like Luka Garza, number 55, bottom right. He's evolved his game a lot since coming into the league, lost some weight, and he's actually got a perimeter shot that is kind of slept on. So we'll move on from them. Talked about them last night. Rob Dillingham didn't play. Don't know why. Didn't he obviously wasn't on the injury report, so maybe they're just waiting to get him going. I don't know if he's tweaked up but they also got Dante DiVincenzo that came over in that trade as well. I think he's going to be a really good contributor for them. That a lot of people think they need a veteran wing shooter. Every rookie that they have, because they have Terrence Shannon coming in too right next to him, 0-0. He's coming in with Rob Dillingham. They're good shooters, but every rookie has a rookie slump or they kind of hit that wall, and they're going to need Dante DiVincenzo, Nikhil Alexander Walker, at number 9 right next to him, and they're going to need them for some wing shooting a lot. So look out for them. Joe Ingles, a veteran presence. I'm not too high on him. I think he's kind of washed at this point, but we'll see if they can get McDaniels to contribute. A sneaky player on them. I don't think he's going to be good, but I wouldn't be surprised if he contributes more than people expect. Is number 1 Daishan Nix. He's not bad. He's not a bad player. Very smart player. Got good size, and once they get subs in, he will more than likely help them not miss a beat. So we'll see though. Jury's still out on them. I think Anthony Edwards is going to have to play a little bit more of the 3 this year. Undersized 3. He's not undersized anything. He can jump over top of you, so he's not undersized. So I think he needs to play the 3 a little bit more, in my opinion. And then they bring in Rob Dillingham at that 1 and 2, and then Dante at that 2, and then Nikhil Alexander Walker off the bench. That's what I would maybe see them doing, but we'll see. I'm very curious to see what they do. Or move on to the next team here, which is the Denver Nuggets. Very excited for this team. Why? Because one of my Gonzaga Bulldogs, number 3, Julian Strother. He's going to get a lot of clock at the 2 guard position this year. He is a fearless shooter. He'll pull up from whatever in a good way, right? He's just not scared to shoot the ball. A lot of NBA, these NBA pros, they're world-class athletes, right? They're the world-class basketball players, best in the world. But there's a lot of players in the league that are afraid to shoot, believe it or not. And this guy, Julian Strother, is not afraid to shoot. And they need that. The Nuggets, more than maybe any other team, need good shooters. We know Michael Porter's going to bring it. They got the new addition, number 4, Russell Westbrook. Is he going to coexist with Jokic? Or I think he is, but I think they're going to just, when Jokic gets a breather, they're just going to tell Russell, yo, just go take over this offense for the next 10 minutes, 8 minutes, and just do your thing. And then, if you're still got some, run in you, we're going to need you to start passing the Joker. But I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work. It could work really well or really bad. We'll see with Russell Westbrook, honestly. As his athleticism starts to kind of diminish, that's what he's always relied on. And now he's going to have to rely on maybe making plays. I don't know if it's too late for him to start being like a knockdown shooter. We'll see, but they do have some other guys too. They got Braun there, Christian Braun, number 0, who is a big piece in their championship run. DeAndre Jordan there, veteran presence, locker room guy, but they do need some help with going to the rest of their roster. That I think they'll find it. I think they're banking on a few of these guys a little too much. If I'm being honest, Dario Saric is one of them. I think they need another big to help them out. That's my opinion, but they got the Joker. Number 15, the man who makes everything go for them, one of the best players in the league, if not, he's the best big in the league, I think, but if not one of the best players in the league. He's kind of brought back the big, right? Like the post big. All these teams are signing post bigs to kind of guard him and to see if they can get their version of Jokic, which is pretty slim to none chance. But I think some of these, he's kind of bringing back the big single-handedly because of how good he is. I know they're looking at Peyton Watson, number 8, top left of your screen. They're looking at him to take a next step as well as a really big wing and big guy that can shoot. I think they're going to see Julian Strother take over at the 2. Honestly, we're going to see what he does at the 3. I'm very curious, but that doesn't round out the roster all the way. We do got Aaron Gordon and their number 2, Jamal Murray. Who's obviously the man that makes them go at the guard position. So Jamal Murray's a beast. Great step back jumper, great guy who penetrates the lane but still rises up to shoot at the right times and drives at the right times. He's just a smart player, one of the best UK players. I would say under the Coach Cal era, honestly, very slept on guy still, and some people would say. And we'll see what he does this year. I hope he stays healthy. I think the Nuggets could make a bigger run than people think, but I don't know. I think there's a couple dead spots on this roster. Honestly, I think they might have to make a couple moves. Aaron Gordon getting up there a little bit more in age, changed his number to honor his late brother to number 32. So shout out to him. And hopefully, he has a great season in honor of his brother that passed away. So, with that being said, I think they are going to have a good season though, but we will see. The team that I think that is going to come out the West, though, in my opinion, the next team that we're going to cover is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I think they are going to come out the West this year, and barring crazy injury. They had a great season last year. They added some pieces. They're going to have a great season still. With them adding Hartenstein, and he's hurt already. Like, that's a blow to them. What are they going to do with that, right? Are they going to get a big off of free agency? Are they going to trade for a guy? I don't know. That is going to actually pay dividends, though. I don't think it's a make or break. It's just going to make or break on how they play. I think it's they're going to have to choose their game style, and your personnel chooses your game style. So with Hardenstein, they play a certain way. Without him, they're going to have to play a different way. So we'll see what happens. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander going to try to make an MVP run. I think him, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum are going to be fighting for MVP this year, especially off what I saw from Jason Tatum last night. Amazing game from him. Great guy, man. He's really just off that game alone, and I don't know why. Like, it just my respect for him went up because he wasn't really cocky. They got their rings last night, and he's got a lot of scrutiny over this last season with kind of the stuff cheesy stuff he's done. But I think if he gets the MVP this year, man, I think everybody will have his respect. But Chet Holmgren, number 7, going to take his second year playing. He set out his first year, had a great year last year as well. So I think he's going to be another great piece, and I think he's going to take the next step. I brought up Hardenstein. That's a great point because Hardenstein, if he plays, Chet's going to play more of the perimeter, and if Hardenstein's out, Chet's going to have to play a little bit more down low, which he can do. He's not scared. He's not the biggest guy, but he's not scared. They got Lou Dort there as one of their big, powerful guys. I think keeping him was really big, and they're really banking on number 8, Jalen Williams, here to take that next step. Which I think if he does, they're coming out the West, man. He is one of their keys. If he is good, then they are going to come out the West. They need him to be good. Isaiah Joe, number 11, decent backup point guard, but they added Caruso, number 9. I think he'll kind of take over his minutes that he had last year at that backup guard role. So these bottom 3 here, these are all role guys. These will be some G League guys as well. They got Jang. I think he's a project, but these bottom guys, they may switch in and out depending on how their season goes. So like we said, 44 and 55, Topic and as well as Hardenstein. They're hurt right now, but maybe they'll be able to come out later in the season and ball out for them. If you see Aaron Wiggins here, number 21, he's actually a pretty good role player for them. We're going to see if he's able to kind of re-up from last year and do it, but a guy I really want to highlight here is Wallace from Kentucky, number 22. He's really good. I like him. He's a very slept-on player from Kentucky these last couple of years, and if he can play good, and a couple other role guys, if they can play good, and J-Dub, they're going to be really good, and they're going to come out the West. They're my pick to come out the West right now. Have to rock with them. I think they're just really tough. And if you just can't knock them out, man, they got a lot of heart. They got a lot of swag. They like playing with each other. When you see a team that likes playing with each other, man, that it makes all the difference, in the world. And you're going to go extra hard. And you've seen them like post game press conferences last year. They were so fun to watch. Like, they were probably the most fun team to watch in the league last year. And they're got even better. So I think they're going to do the same thing. So we'll move on from them as we're getting going to our Western Conference preview here as the season kicks off. We got the Blazers. They are very shorthanded, I think, just in talent and in health. DeAndre Ayton, like I said, was a guy I think they're going to have to choose from. They got number 23 Clingan, the big guy that just came over from UConn, and then they have some other big guys as well that I think they're just going to have to make a decision. If you see number 76 right here, Taze Moore, give him a shout out. He's a G League guy last year, and he's actually a really good bucket. He's a good offensive spark plug for them. So Robert Williams is on their team. I think they're going to have to choose between Robert Williams, DeAndre Ayton, and Clingan. They're going to go with Clingan because he's new and he's better. But DeAndre Ayton and Robert Williams is probably going to leave. I think it's going to be Robert Williams, to be honest. Scoot Henderson, 00. I think he's going to maybe have a breakout year. We'll see. I don't want to put any big predictions on him. But a guy that had a great training camp, they say, in Portland, and they said was their best player on their team coming out of training camp is number 8, Denny Advia. He played in Washington to start his career. He came over from overseas. I was following him overseas before he came over, and honestly, I thought he'd be a little better right now, but he's actually become a really good defender, a good 3-and-D guy, and that writes checks in this league, man. If you can perfect a craft or be a star within your role, that is very important in any sport, in any league. But the NBA is, $100 million for role players right now. So it's, go ahead and Denny, get your money. I think he's going to be a very well paid player. And a couple of these guys, too, are going to try to, reiterate that. As you see Shaden Sharp, who's also a pretty good player. I think he's going to try to take a next step. Jeremy Grant. He's been good in the past, but I think he's kind of over his prime. I think he's just going to be a good rebounder and a guy that's just going to help Cling and develop, too. So, yeah, Kling at number 23. I think he's going to be a very, very good. Zach Edey, he's kind of getting overshadowed by Zach Edey right now coming into the league, which rightfully so. They're both really good. So we got some few big guys coming in the league these next 2 years that are pretty good, man. And so many good players getting cut before the season, which just leads me to say I'd like they need to expand the league already. Like they need the expansion. The people that are out the league, you got to take for the count the how many people that are in the league that just aren't getting a lot of minutes. That would, if they were on a different team, they would be getting minutes, or if they were on an expansion team, maybe even a starter. So, so many teams, and there's just teams are so loaded and it must be hard to as an exec or as a coach right now to keep a team. They got Murray here at number 24, great shooter. His brother is obviously a Sacramento King, great shooter as well. I think that if he can ball, they'll surprise some people. But like I said, number 35, Robert Williams, I think they're going to trade him, and that'll switch his role as well. So yeah, man, we'll go ahead and move on from the Portland Trailblazers. I don't think they are going to have a great season, but Scoot Henderson, that may be a highlight for them, a bright spot to see what they can do. The next team that we're going to go into is a team that has a lot of expectations coming into this year. I mean, it's kind of not do or die, but we're waiting on Luka Doncic and the Mavericks to make a run to kind of win a title. That's what we're waiting on, right? We're waiting on Luka Doncic to hold up the Larry O'B trophy. I've been on him since he was 17 over there in Real Madrid. So I think he's gonna maybe do it in the next couple of years. But honestly, I don't know about this year. Like I said, the Thunder's my pick to come out the West. Klay Thompson, obviously, they added Klay Thompson. It was a very big pickup for them. You'll see him number 31. He's going to be some knockdown shooter. Yeah, if you've seen in the preseason, he's knocked down a lot of mid-range jumpers and more than he's ever done. I think they're going to rely on him on mid-range as well. But I don't know, man. Kyrie, I think he's going to have a great season. Kyrie being left off the USA team blew my mind this year. He brought up a great point because back then for the USA team, they had tryouts. Now they don't have tryouts for the USA team. You just get selected. So I definitely think they need to bring that back. He brought that up, and that was a great point. You forget those things happen. They'll change things, and if somebody's got to bring it up for you to realize or something. But, Dante Exum's another guy we're going to look at, number 0, who came over from overseas last year, previously in the league, but he was over at Partizan in Serbia, and now he is back in the league, his second year back in the league, to see if he can carry some more weight. He had some pretty good years shooting the ball. That people, expected that noticed the change from when he was in the league back in the day when he was the Utah Jazz draft pick. But yeah, we'll see if he can do it. Derek Lively, number 2, is a really good big for them, young guy from Duke, second year coming in. I'm really high on him. I think he's really good. But they need some help, man. I think Klay Thompson's going to help them. PJ Washington's going to help them as well. All those guys need to play at their ceiling because their bench is not the greatest. They're young guys. They're not the greatest. You can tell these guys are here to save cap room, and a couple of these guys, they're just really not going to be on the court during playoffs. I could see the Mavericks having a very small lineup in the playoffs, which could be good, could be bad. We'll see. If you go with a 7 or 8 man lineup and they're balling, that's great. You can't stop them. But when you need to dig into your bench, and there's no one there in the playoffs, then that's where it gets shaky and that's where teams fall apart. But we'll move on for them. We'll see what's going to happen. Jazz, a team that played tonight. Jordan Clarkson had a pretty solid game for them. Jordan Clarkson, I brought up. He carries a lot of weight there. He carries a lot of weight on his shoulders in Utah. They got their new draft pick, number 5 there, Cody Williams from Colorado. He's a very good player, very big size, good mid-range. Colorado had a great season in basketball last year. A lot of people noticed, and if you didn't forget, they had 3 pros on their team, so which is very rare for Colorado. So Cody Williams is really good. His brother's in the league. Jaden Williams is on the Thunder. That's his older brother. They got Colin Sexton, number 2, at point guard. Been their point guard for a couple of years now since coming over from Cleveland. I think they're set with him maybe. I'm not saying that in the greatest of terms. Like I think they could do better, but I think they're just going to rock with him and Jordan Clarkson until the wheels fall off. So we'll see. I don't think they're going to be a playoff team, but they got Patty Mills, veteran, been around the league forever, won a championship with the Spurs. Um, he went to St. Mary's for college and gave Gonzaga hell back in the day. I remember that, and he cost us a few L's. But yeah, Patty Mills there. They got John Collins, number 20, vet, pretty good big. I like him a lot. He started his career in Atlanta, was there with Trae Young, and then they got Kyle Filipowski next to him at at 22. He was at Duke last year, good big. He's kind of getting overshadowed by Klingon and Edey. They're better than him, I get it, but he is pretty solid too. And he is pretty good. Gonna have a pretty solid career, maybe. But they have a lot of bigs on their team. Markkinen at 23, Walker Kessler at number 24. Really good bigs for them that are very good, and they're pretty loaded at big. If you see, Oscar Tshiebwe, number 44, big guy from Duke who won Player of the Year. So he was at the Pacers last year. They moved on from him because they added Siakam, they added James Wiseman. Just wasn't enough room for him. So now he's in Utah, and I think he can get some clock. But they just have so many bigs. Didn't realize they had this many bigs, honestly. And actually, every pretty big they got is solid. So we'll see what the Jazz do. I think they'll maybe trade a big or two to kind of get some more, get younger at the guard. Jordan Clarkson and Patty Mills, they're good, man, but they're just getting up there in age, right? Like they're just older. Jordan Clarkson is the better of the two, I would say. But I don't know. We'll see. If you look at Keontae George, number 3, right below him, he was a guard at Baylor a couple years ago. If he can take a good step up, maybe they won't have to make a change at guard. But we'll see. He'll have to kind of prove it. I think he had a good summer league when he came in until he had an ankle injury. But he is a good player. So we'll see what the Jazz do. A team that I'm very curious about, I want to go over, is the Warriors. Steph Curry entering, his last chapter here. A lot of people are thinking maybe is he going to stay? He's saying he's a Warrior for life. We'll see. They got a new GM. Clay's gone. Draymond might be Draymond's last year. This is very good storyline to follow this year because what's going to happen with this team? They got some pieces that are pretty solid. They got some guys that their scouting department's really good. Honestly, if you see Trace Jackson Davis next to Steph Curry there, their scouting department did really good on him. He's a very good bench player. If you look at number 15, right here, Santos, he's really good. Gui Santos, number 15, good guy by the scouting department there. A lot of people were sleeping on him. He had a good season. I think Wiggins is going to have another good year. I'm very curious to see what Kuminga does this year to see if he can take a better step and be a better perimeter shooter. It's harder, it takes time for some of these young guys. If they come in as a defender or as a leaper, that's him. He's just a dunker and a rim runner. But when you try to develop a shot, we've seen some guys it develops, quick for them, but some of these young guys, it takes years to develop their shot. I mean, if you want to look back at Vince Carter, he didn't have a shot until later in his career. He extended his career. I think a lot of people saw what Vince Carter did, what a few other guys did, and they're like, all right, I need to maybe start shooting to not only extend my career, but now you got to shoot just to stay in the league. I was seeing Andre Drummond's been working on his 3 all year. He's only made 11 threes his whole career or something like that. So we'll see what they do. Gary Payton the second. Yeah, we'll see, man. I did some digging here, and I want to bring this up. This is random. This is about Gary Payton. So I seen that Gary Payton is the second, right? He's not Gary Payton Jr. I was like, why is he not Gary Payton Jr.? He's Gary Payton's son, obviously. Why is he not Gary Payton Jr.? I found out Gary Payton Sr., the big Gary, look, the glove, he had a baby with another woman, and they named him Gary Payton. She's got 2 Gary Paytons as kids out there. And yeah, there's two, there's 2 Gary Paytons. That's why he's Gary Payton the second. So that's a fun fact there. I that's had to throw that in there. So when I see him now, I can't not think of that. But yeah, I think the Warriors are going to be all right, man. I don't know what they're going to maybe do as far as moves wise. Jamron Green, is he going to be able to keep it up as far as production? We know he's going to keep it together in the locker room and keep them together. But is he going to still keep up his weight on the his production since Clay's gone? We'll see. I think they might make a move or two if Wiggins can stay healthy. Maybe not, but we will see. But the team we want to go into, who had the brand new arena, the Clippers. a brand new arena tonight, the Intuit Dome that just debuted. So shout out to them. I think they have actually a brighter future than people think. We'll go ahead and take a look at this Intuit Dome while we're going over their team. But Bones Highland's a new addition for them. I think he can maybe be good since Kawhi's hurt. But I don't know. They just have a lot of questions. But the arena, the logo, the new jerseys give me hope for them. Like they did their job on that part because that's what it's supposed to do. All that stuff. Because take a look at their halo. They call this the Halo screen in their arena. This is their LED screen in their arena now, and man. I was watching an interview and he was like, well, this $2 billion arena, the Steve Ballmer, the owner of the Clippers, he's like, I don't think it might not, make wins translate to the court, but hey, it might help. I hope it does. And he's spending, so many owners are real cheap and they don't spend their money. They don't spend, if you've seen the Redskins or the Commanders back then, if you see the Oakland A's or, so many people across the sports world as owners, they don't spend their money. They're really cheap. The Browns are one of those teams in the NFL. They don't really spend any money. But this guy, Steve Ballmer, he's going all out. He's only on the team for I think his third or fourth year, and he's going all out. Already got him a new arena. He's trying to get a ring. Like we need these owners in sports. We need these fans in sports. He has his own. They have our own fan section here to where if you're a Clippers fan, it's cheaper to sit in the section. It's only Clippers fans, and he's just trying to make it a better experience for everybody. And especially in LA, it's crowded, traffic's horrible. People say I've never been, but and he's just trying to make it a good experience. And if you ever been to an NBA game, they go pretty quick, right? They actually do go a little bit faster than you would think. So he's just trying to make it to where while you're there, stay in your seat, enjoy the show. It's going to be a show, and we've seen a couple of owners there, like the NFL. We've seen Arthur Blank with the Falcons when he built the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. He's got like the cheapest concessions in the whole league. Like he just wants to. He's just a good owner, right? We just need more good owners. So shout out to them. We'll take a look deeper in their roster here. They got Trey Mann, number 14. I think he's pretty good, but he's just kind of getting older. I'd say he doesn't look old, but if believe it or not, he's like pushing 30. So he needs to, I'd say, get about 15 a game for him to kind of pull his weight. They got Christie there, newcomer. I think he's a pretty good shooter as well. But a guy I'm excited for, I do want to say, is number 77, Kevin Porter Jr. He's back in the league. He's actually a very good player, very good ISO player. He's been on the Cavs, been in Houston. Been pretty productive everywhere he's gone. His shooting percentages haven't been crazy, but he's always been on bad teams. So that kind of does play a role in it. They got Zubac there, man in the middle at number 40. I think he's a solid piece for them. He's going to probably stay put. Norman Powell, good veteran presence. I think he's going to stay put. More of a locker room standpoint. Man, Batum is still in the league, which blows my mind. Nick Batum is still in the league and still getting some M's in this league. So shout out to him. Run it up. I don't know what he's going to do, but they added number 23, Kai Jones. If you see him on the left, he's back in the league, was out of the league last year, had some mental issues and there's some off the court issues. He was out of the league. Now he's back. He's a really athletic guy, a dunker, started his career with Charlotte. So the Clippers, man, if they can stay healthy, I don't think they're going to compete for a championship, but what I do think they can do is they can make someone's road a whole lot harder. A few teams like that in the league. A team want to go over here that on paper they got everything they need. One of the most scrutinized team in the NBA, besides the Lakers. They're like the Colorado Buffs of the NBA, right? Like everything's the eyes all on them on the Suns this year. I think that we're going to see what KD is going to do, what D Book's going to do. Bradley Beal, is he going to stay healthy? They got some younger guys. They got Ty Washington. They added. They got Grayson Allen. Ty Washington hasn't done really too much since he's been in the league, but he could actually produce for this team. I'm not just saying that. I think he actually could be pretty good. Tyus Jones, one of the best backup point guards in the league. We'll probably see him starting at times, depending on their health. But they also want to go back here as I want to mention is Bol Bol. Well, I think Bol Bol, I've been a big fan of him. Like that's why they're going to be so looked at because they're like a ball of clay. Like they can go this way with Bol Bol, or they going to just ride KD, or they going to add somebody. Who knows? Who knows? I love KD. I've always liked him. Him going to the Warriors really changed my opinion on him. Honestly, I can't lie. Like he ruined basketball for a couple years. It was not fun to watch NBA basketball for 24 months, however long, because you just knew as soon as they stepped on the court, but it was not even fair. It was not even fair. And then it just I don't know. He just should have maybe stayed or went somewhere else, and joining a team like that just I know he got the 2 rings and he got the finals MVPs. I get it. But, just as a basketball fan, it just was hard to see. And he hasn't won since then. He didn't win before and he hasn't won since then. If he would have won since then, people wouldn't even really care about the Warriors. They would not give a shit. But he hasn't won anything since he's left. His foot was on the line in Brooklyn in the playoffs. If people remember against the Bucks, that was a crazy shot. But his foot was on the line. They didn't get it done, and they never made a run after that. Then Kyrie had his thing there, and it's not all his fault. But it's just if he wouldn't have went to the Warriors, man, or if I don't know, Brooklyn was a bad move too. Brooklyn was failed. It was such a loaded team they was supposed to have, and it blew up in their face. James Harden, I think, was the catalyst of that one, but we'll see. Heard he's on Ozempic now since he's on the Clippers, so he's lost a lot of weight. But we'll see what the Suns do. I'm not wishing bad on them, but they just need a couple spots. Like number 21, if you look at him, Colin Gillespie, he's going to play way more than he should because they just don't have the depth. And the reason they don't have the depth is because they're spending so much damn money on these stars, and they're either not playing or just not producing. And Bradley Bill's a $30 million guy. You got Devin Booker, $30 million guy. You got KD, like $30-40 million guy. Like so much money, and we'll see. I assume they're probably in the luxury tax with salary cap. They're an injury away to being in it if they're not. So we'll see what they do. We'll move on from them to a team that I think is going to have a comeback here compared to last year, which is the Sacramento Kings. They added DeMar DeRozan. A lot of people are kind of skeptical on how that move's going to work with them. I think it's going to work. I think it's going to take a lot of pressure off Malik Monk. Malik Monk had a lot of pressure on him last year. I think rightfully so, but he just didn't do well with it, right? So he just needs a little bit off his plate. When he's not relied on for 15 to 18, he'll get 15 to 18. It's just he'll get it if you don't need it, and if you don't expect it. He's a role player. So we'll see what he does. De'Aaron Fox is going to take another step, I think, in his career. I really like De'Aaron Fox. I'm a Sabonis guy as well. Obviously, their big guy. He's on the Starting Five documentary. If you got a chance to look at that, very cool documentary they're doing, and he's been a big part of that. So Sabonis there, Gonzaga man, and I think he's going to have a big year. I think Murray right next to him is going to have another big year as well. Those guys are you just count on them showing up, right? There's no questions with them. They have to show up. That's what they're expected to do, and I think they will. If you look deeper in their bench here, we got Keon Ellis at number 23. He's a good wing. He had a bigger role for them a couple years ago, but his minutes kind of went down last year because the shooting went down. So I think his minutes will kind of maybe stay the same because they got DeMar DeRozan now, and DeMar DeRozan, Kevin Herter, they're going to rely on them to space out the floor and be able to drive and kick it to Sabonis. Jordan McLaughlin, fun stat about him, number 6 next to De'Aaron Fox. He's the last player in the NBA under 6 foot. He's the only one left, so that's pretty crazy. How tall you got to be a guard now, and how it's changed so much in these past probably 5 years. We got 7 foot. We got Wimby, 7 whatever. We got a 7'9" guy at the University of Florida right now playing. So I mean, crazy, crazy stuff. Chet Holmgren's 7'2", and people don't even talk about it, right? And what he can do. Just because we're so numb to it right now, so many freak athletes are coming in the league or already are in the league, and it's been pretty crazy, man. So we'll move on from the Kings. I think they are going to be a playoff team this year. Will they be in the play-in? I don't know how they're going to get the playoffs, but they're going to be in the playoffs. I think that if they will make some changes as well, but I hope they can stay healthy. All these teams got to stay healthy. As you can see, how many injuries we had the first night. There's so many people out right now, and we're just kind of waiting and seeing for a couple of them. But a couple of these younger guys who usually don't get their minutes, they're going to be able to get some good run while those guys rest up and get back on the court. But the next team we get onto is going to be the Houston Rockets, led by Van Fleet. They got like a host of leaders. That's a good thing because they got Jalen Green. They got Jeff Green, who's like a locker room guy for them, veteran presence, been productive everywhere he's gone. Dylan Brooks, they paid a lot of money for. Alfred Sengun, they're big. Probably maybe their best player. Like, it's hard to see who the best player on the Rockets is, and that's a very good problem to have. A guy I want to highlight here, the bottom right of your screen, was Cam Whitmore. Going to have a very good year. Very high on him. I don't know if he'll win Most Improved Player of the Year because I don't think they give that to like second-year guys. They kind of wait for people that are in the league. but I think he is going to have maybe some of the biggest number jumps this year. He played a lot in the G League last year, and I watched a G League game of him and was like, he's going to be pretty good. They called him up and like on a Wednesday, on that Friday he had 30 points on the Rockets. So he's the truth, man. He's a big body. He can drive the lane on the baseline, dunk on you. Very good mid range, and an effort guy too. So I want to look at this team, and I want to add here, I don't know why they didn't put Reed Shepherd's picture on here with everybody else's. I had to get this picture from another one and put it on here. They're hating on Reed Shepherd, bro. How you gonna hate on your rookie pick? And they need to put some respect on his name and get him a real picture here. So yeah, Reed Shepherd. I think while we got him talking about him, I think he's going to be competing for Rookie of the Year. I'm a Gonzaga fan. I got to see Reed Shepherd play against us last year, and he almost single handedly won that game for them and put a team on his back. So freak athlete, had like a 42-inch vertical in the combine, which is crazy. Like he didn't really show that at UK, but then he had glimpses of it to where he had hops, but we didn't know he had hops like that. So maybe he should have been the White Man Can Jump instead of Harlow or something. But I like Reed Shepherd, man. He's a Kentucky boy. I'm not a Kentucky fan, but he's that good to where you can't hate on Reed Shepherd. He's really good. I think the amount of minutes he's going to get and the amount of freedom, because of all this team's pretty good around him on paper, he's going to get a lot of shots up and get a lot of freedom. Jabari Smith went up there, top left of your screen. He was a second pick overall coming out of Auburn. He was on the USA practice squad last year, getting the Olympic team ready. So he was on that team kind of training camp roster. And I think that just those couple weeks training with the USA team, we're going to see that improvement in this game. I think he's a very good shooter. I think he got drafted a couple picks too high when he came out, but he struggled early on. But he did good in the preseason, and he did good in the summer league when he played too. So he's got a good attitude about him too. One thing I like that he said, a few of these Rockets players in the summer league, they were like, "Yo, we're going to play summer league because we want to hoop." Like some people look at the summer league as like a JV or like a demotion or something that you shouldn't be in there if you're a top draft pick. But they're like, no, we wanted to hoop this summer and there's summer league, so why wouldn't we play? So I shout out to them. I think the Rockets are actually going to have an improved year with Reed Shepherd, adding him. Udoka, second year as head coach for them. I think he's going to be getting acclimated more, and he's got Steven Adams, big body. He's able to kind of build his roster. Sengun, like I said there, Dylan Brooks, Van Fleet. We got Amen Thompson. Haven't talked about him. If he can take a improvement in his game, they're going to be really hard to stop. Jury's still out on him. I think he's a 3-and-D guy at best. His shooting's not that good, but if they can get some knockdown shooting from Jalen Green, Van Fleet, and Brooks, they'll be all right. Tari Eason's another guy too, who's a pretty good four for them, and an effort guy. And he's not going to be worried about too many touches or his numbers. He just wants to be out there and play and help his team. So I really like this team actually on paper, and I be on the lookout for the Rockets. I'll keep an eye on them as well. Take another quick look here at their bottom half. Jay Sean Tate back on the team. He was on their team a couple of years ago. Was supposed to be like this really good knockdown shooter, and it just didn't work out for him. But maybe this year he can be that shooter that everybody thought he was going to be. We'll see. But the team I want to move on next to, I think is my second favorite team or whatever, just I think is the second best team in the West, is going to be the Grizzlies. What a game tonight for them from Ja Morant. This roster, they always have a very just unique roster, how guys like, he's in the league. Oh, yeah, he's on the Grizzlies. Like, they have a lot of guys who, if they weren't on the Grizzlies, they may not be in the league. But they get the most out of their bench guys. If you see Scottie Pippen Jr., he was able to make the night one roster, opening night. He made it. I think it's going to be his first year in the league making an opening night roster. So shout out to him. They got a couple of guys here that are just showing out, man, that they're actually going to have to rely on. So they got Aldama, who had the 27 points tonight, number 7, stretch 4 from Spain. Very good guy. He's been actually on their team for a few years. He's been a project for them. And you haven't really needed to see too much of him because of Jaren Jackson, Brandon Clark, and they had Steven Adams too. So you haven't really needed to see him until this year. We're going to be able to see what they've been working on with him and if he's able to keep it up. He had a really good night. Kennard's hurt. He didn't get to play tonight. If you look at Wells, the bottom left, I'm not hating on this guy. I seen him play tonight, but I think he's maybe one of the odd guys out on this team, even though he's a young guy. I think they just need a little bit more guard presence off the bench. A couple years ago, they had Tyus Jones. He's gone. They haven't really been able to get a really good backup guard since him. So we'll see. The Anthony Melton was there. He left as well. So They just need a good backup point guard. If they can get that, they'll be very good, and they'll be competing, to go to the finals. Jake Laravia, number 3, top right of your screen. He is a stretch guy. He's put on some muscle since he's been in the league. He's a comparison for him. He's kind of like a very, very poor man's MPJ without like the dunking. Like he plays a lot like MPJ on he'll shoot wherever on the corner, but he's a big body as well. But we'll see if he takes that next step. He had a good summer league, and at the end of the season, he actually had a pretty solid couple games. So Zach Edey's their big rookie. We obviously know everyone. He tore up college last year, tore up my Gonzaga Bulldogs, tore up everybody pretty much, man. A lot of people thought they were going to win. If UConn weren't so rigged, they probably were going to win it all. So Zach Edey, able to come into this team, seamless fit with Steven Adams, not there no more. I think he's going to be maybe the next Steven Adams and a Brooke Lopez kind of mixed. He can move like Brooke Lopez, but he's maybe can be as strong as Steven Adams. So I think he's be a lookout for him. Kevin Garnett was calling him Zach Alcindor the other night. So he was hitting some hook shots and shit. So, yeah, be on the lookout for him. Jaren Jackson's hurt, so he's going to get some clock. Jaren Jackson, obviously, reigning defensive player of the year, former defensive player of the year, very good player. Ja Morant back in the league. Everyone knows he had the issues off the court last year, but I think he's going to be able to show everyone he's here. He means business, and he's going to stay on the right path this year and lead this team to, I think where they can go. Brandon Clark, my favorite player in the league from Gonzaga, number 15. He's had like 3 lives in the league. He's been like 3 different players. He came in as a stretch guy who was just pretty much a dunker and a floater guy. Then he put on some weight, started playing the 5, rebound, dunker. Now he's going kind of back to the 4, and he's done it all. I love Brandon Clark and the effort he puts in. He's just a really good player. Desmond Bane's another guy that's probably arguably their second, third best player. They need Desmond Bane every single night. I would say they need Desmond Bane more than they need Jaren Jackson, because when Desmond Bane doesn't shoot well, they don't have anybody else to go through to shoot. Honestly, we saw that without Ja Morant last year. They need Desmond Bane to play good. I think, like I said, they're going to make a move at point guard, backup point guard, but they do still have Marcus Smart, as you see top right of your screen. Good defensive guy, but they need one more point guard to help with offense. Marcus Smart's going to be there for you on defense. He's going to be there. He's going to make the tough passes, the effort plays. He's going to dive on the ball for you, but he needs maybe another guy to help him when Ja Morant's not on the court. Want to take a shout out here to Jay Huff, number 30. You may not be familiar with him. Don't expect you to be, but he's going to be a good piece for them as well off the bench. He was at the Lakers recently, but didn't really make the team. He's a dunker, kind of like a Larry Nance, but I think he's better than him. He can be really good, and he makes the really good passes. And I don't know, man. I just like Jay Huff. He's a really good dunker, and he's a good Grizzly. Might not fit on 25 other teams, and might not make their roster, but he's going to be good for them and the system they play. Another guy that's hurt right now, but I think is going to be very good, is GG Jackson, number 45. Very good player, big body, does everything on the court, man. Does everything. Kind of like a bigger Desmond Bane, but he can dunk too. This guy's a dunker. GG Jackson, fun fact about him, he plays drums. He's a drum player, and he still plays in his church band, when he's in town and stuff. He's a really good drummer. I wish I had a video. I wish I put a video of him drumming in here. He can drum his ass off. Shout out GG Jackson. And the Grizzlies, man. I take a second look here, just quick as their roster: Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, obviously, Ja, Edey, Brandon Clark, Pippen. Vince Williams is out tonight as well. He's actually a slept-on big. He's kind of like a Bobby Portis kind of guy, kind of like a Herb Jones type dude, but he's good, man. He's if he can play good, it just adds to what they can do, and they're even more scary. So we'll move on to the Pelicans here. Zion Williamson's hurt, their franchise guy, man. Everybody's hoping. I think everybody's hoping for him to play. If you don't even like Zion Williamson, you still hope that he can play. Because I would rather hate on Zion Williamson because he can't make a shot, rather than him to just not, he can't play, right? I'd rather people hate on him because he's not playing good than not playing at all. So he when he plays, he's good. He had a crazy start to his career. I'll never forget his first night in the league. He made like 3 threes in a row against the Lakers, and It was a crazy game, and ever since then, man, he's just been injury riddled, and we'll see what they can do. I think Brandon Ingram, obviously, I think he's their best scorer on the team, and we'll see if he stays there or if it's like a sign and trade deal. You got Brandon Ingram here, bottom left of your screen. He's pretty good. Now they did sign Brandon Boston the other day, number 11. He just got cut the other day, and they picked him right up. So he's kind of like a poor man's Brandon Ingram. Honestly, plays a lot like him. I think he's actually a pretty good pickup for them. I like him. Daniel Tice last year kind of bounced around to a couple teams, post guy, kind of. I don't know if how what bigger role he's going to play for them. I think a guy that you're going to have to take a look at here is number 24, number 25, Hawkins, knockdown shooter. It was his rookie year last year. He was on UConn a couple years ago. Very good shooter. He's going to be really good this year. But a guy I want to look at too is number 25, Trey Murphy. Big body, right? Really big body. He went down to the G League a couple years ago to learn the game, and he was a good G League placement, right? They was like, you're going to be good. We just need you to polish on a few things, and we're going to have you right back up. And that's what happened. Trey Murphy, if he can be good for them, and if Zion can just stay freaking healthy, they're going to be tough, and they're going to be really good. They got bro from UK last year, number 12, Reeves, one of the only good players for UK last year, veteran presence they had. I could see him actually producing, especially with McCollum. When McCollum comes off the court, I could see him playing a lot similar to him. A big, a really pickup that a lot of people, are kind of overlooking, man. Is number 8 and number 5, bro. I mean, God, I think just the guards that they're adding here, and then they got Javonte Green from the Celtics. He was overseas guy I liked a whole lot, but he just wasn't able to kind of do. I mean, Dejounte Murray, man, and Javonte Green, or be a lookout for them. But Dejounte Murray, he's what they need, right? They've needed a good guard like that because CJ McCollum is a good shooter, but he's not as good as he once was. Dejounte Murray. If he can ball, then they will be in the playoffs. And if Zion Williamson can stay on the freaking court, if they can do that, they'll be just fine. But that's just the hardest thing with them. So many teams with like Kawhi or with PG and 76ers, just health. That's just, you can just put money on it. They're probably going to get hurt throughout the season. You just hope they're there at the end of the season. So we'll see what they do. I'm very excited just about the whole season in general. We got one more last team to go through, and then we'll go over the scores from tonight as we wrap it up for our second episode of Home Squad Hoops and going over our Western Conference preview. We'll have some shorter episodes there throughout the season, but just wanted to go through every single team in the league once. And while we get going here, half the team's freaking hurt, so we'll that season hasn't even really started for a lot of these teams. But the last team we're going to go over is Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs. Man, on paper, this is an on paper team as it gets. They're not going to be in the playoffs. They're just not going to be in the playoffs. I was able to see Victor Wembanyama play a sixth game in his career. Luckily, he didn't have the greatest game. Unfortunately, he was coming off a back-to-back, but he showed some signs of greatness like he always has. And he put on so much weight this offseason. Throughout this last season, he got so much better. And this season, adding Chris Paul, you got Stephon Castle from UConn, their national championship team, adding some wing help there. You add those two, I think they're actually going to be a lot improved, but I just don't think that they are going to be in the playoffs, unfortunately. I think Chris Paul is going to help them a lot. Johnson there, Keldon Johnson. We'll see what he can do. I think he's a little overpaid, but I just think they're going to keep him just to keep him. Sohan, number 10, a very good guy. It's going to keep a lot of the post pressure off of Wemby. He doesn't have to really stay in the post too much because Sohan down there. Sohan's a very slept on guy. If Wemby wasn't on his team, then we'd be talking about Sohan a lot. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see if the Spurs can prove everybody wrong and maybe make a run. I doubt it, but we will see. I know there's a few other players here we'll get into. We got Trey Jones, which is Tyus Jones' little brother. Harrison Barnes, he's still in the league, man. He's still here. We're going to see if he can help Wemby. I think it's possible he can, help him produce. But that is pretty much going to wrap it up for the last team we're going to go over for the Western Conference. I mean, Western Conference, it's always been the most loaded for these past couple years. Everyone knows, but I think this year could be maybe a little different. I think the East could give a couple of these guys a run for their money. We'll take a look at these scores from from tonight and just highlight of the second night of NBA, the first really full night of NBA that we've had. Want to give a shout out to LaMelo Ball, 34 points, 11 assists, 7 rebounds, didn't miss a free throw, 11 for 11 from free throws. So I mean, if he can keep that up, bro, like they're going to be tough, and they might be the sneaky team out of the East that, no, not title contenders, but a team that is going to be a playoff team that hasn't been in so long. We'll see if Brandon Miller can get it done. I don't think they made the best picks in the draft, but I don't think they needed to. They've had so many young guys these past 3 or 4 years. They just need their young guys to take that next step. So very excited for them. I think the Grizzlies are going to be another great team this year. Be on the lookout for them, as well as the Hornets. So very excited, man. I think the Lakers are going to be a question. Obviously, everyone's going to talk about the Lakers and LeBron James until we're blue in the face. Everyone's going to talk about Anthony Edwards and seeing if he can really, take that next step. I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I mean, do I think Anthony Edwards is going to take an MVP run? I don't know. I don't really see that happening, but I really see a few of these teams just turning a lot of heads, and it's a changing of the guard in the NBA right now. We got stars leaving the game and maybe just not in their prime anymore, and we got these young guys coming up. And last year, I think it was kind of some growing pains with that. The younger guys maybe just weren't ready. Anthony Edwards saved the league last year, just saying that, because a lot of these guys are going to take that step this year. This year, the NBA is going to be action-packed, I think. Very excited. LaMelo Ball, want to shout out to him one more time. Santi Aldama had a great game, 27 points. And, man, it's just been action everywhere we've been the past 2 nights. We got football coming up tomorrow night. Football show, like we said, weekly show. Dalton's out of town right now, so we'll see if he's able to join. I think he's going to be missing tomorrow, unfortunately, but he's out of town. So we will continue with our coverage tomorrow. Might have a guest for us tomorrow, but we will go over our pick six for tomorrow. A full slate of college football. Very good slate. I will go ahead and give you a sneak peek. It's been very hard to pick 6 games, and I lost so much money betting last week off Bama, not touching any of these freaking SEC teams this week. I don't know what we're doing there, but we'll go over that tomorrow and maybe give a sneak peek with NFL as well. So we'll give the pick 6 picks, and that wraps it up for Home Squad Hoops, everyone. I hope everyone's had a great week so far. This week has been going by really slow. Now it feels like it's going by fast. So I think NBA is helping it go by fast. So shout out to everyone. It's late night. If you're catching this in the morning or the next day, shout out to everyone that's been giving us some love on Rumble views have been a whole lot better in the past week than they've ever been, so might just be sticking to Rumble and YouTube and Instagram here soon. Might just be moving to that full time. We want to give a shout out to Coach Carl Reed before we end here. Coach Carl Reed was able to give us a follow on Instagram yesterday. If anyone that knows recruiting, he is pretty much the guy to know in football recruiting with 247 Sports, Coach Carl Reed. We'll get into that tomorrow with Coach Carl Reed. We're going to wrap it up. We won't hold you. Everyone have a great day. Thanks for tuning in to Home Squad Hoops, and we'll see you tomorrow for the football show. You have a great night.